Today, America celebrates the life and dreams of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was many things: an author, statesman, preacher, and loving father. Yet, to most Americans, he's remembered as the leader of the modern American civil rights movement. That movement, which drew inspiration from both the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi and the Bible, was not built on a foundation of violence and acrimony, but rather on reasoned words and peaceful protests. For Dr. King, this struggle would mean being arrested and jailed 29 times, assaulted 4 times, and have white Klansmen bomb his home. His actions moved a mighty nation. His immortal speeches inspired millions. His perseverance would bring an end to the legal segregation of African American citizens in the United States and lead to the creation of both the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act. Though his life was cut short, his legacy remains. Hundreds of streets across the country bear his name. Statues adorn plazas, parks, and public buildings. Over 3 million people visit the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial in Washington, D.C. each year. Dr. King had a dream, and as America struggles with a new generation's call for social justice, his message and philosophy is more important than ever before.
Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. "2020 will go down in the books as a truly bad year. We all know that. COVID in America showed us the deep inequality in our country and the systemic discrimination in this nation. As Dr. King said, we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. We're being attacked by multiple viruses at the same time, and we must fight them all. Because racism is a virus, and discrimination is a virus, and hatred is a virus, and our America is better than this. And if we are smart, we must now acknowledge the ugliness and correct it as we go forward. And New York will lead the way."
Thank you, Governor Cuomo. Good morning. My name is W. Franklin Richardson, Senior Pastor of the Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. But today, I'm here in the historic Wilburn Temple in Albany, New York. For the next hour, it's my highest honor to join New York in celebrating the life and dreams of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. through music, art, and inspiring stories with a focus on civil rights then and now. We'll look at the movement to bring about social change, the passion of today's youth, and those that came before them. During his lifetime, Dr. King preached at churches throughout New York State, including a faith-filled sermon to the congregation right here at Wilburn Temple. Pastor Solomon Dees was here on that historic day in 1961 and remembers like it was yesterday.
During that time, it was not hard to hear about someone that got shot or got killed or got hung for no reason at all. My wife had gone into the store and coming out, and someone across the street shot her on that street. The person that shot her said that he just wanted to shoot a black person. The bullet was close to her heart, and that was the most difficult thing to get over. But God blessed us to get through that. So in 1961, The great Martin Luther King Jr. had started to go to different states and different cities fundraising because he would now become the pioneer of integration. It was a memorable occasion. On our lower level here, we'll hold 2,000 people, and we can hold another 50 or 60 people in the balcony up back. And the building was jam-packed. We were blessed at that time to have Governor Nelson Rockefeller and the mayor of the city of Albany, Mayor Erastus Corning, to grace our service on that evening. And it was something I will never get out of my mind, because this was like the beginning of the work that Dr. Martin Luther King did all over this country, touched the heart of just about every individual, and has changed the mindset of so many people. If I had to take a guess at what Dr. King would say today, I would think that he would be disappointed from how people of color are being looked at and being treated. And also, I think he would want us not to be complacent, but to keep pushing forward. If we have been brought forward, there is no reason to go backwards.
It is from a small seed that the Iroko tree has its beginning. This is a Nigerian proverb about Iroko timber, a unique and spiritual African hardwood showcased in today's first performance, known as Labyrinth, and created by sculptor Francois Stolly. This sculpture creates a unique outdoor environment for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s ensemble to perform Never Failed Me Yet under the direction of Marcel Johnson.
Take him at his word.
As a man of faith, I'm confronted every day with stories of tragedy and triumph, and people looking for purpose and humanity in the face of adversity. People like Mr. Franklin Williams, a lawyer and civil rights leader, and what we call a silent giant, a man who advanced the movement for social justice in remarkable ways with little or no fanfare. Mr. Williams is the subject of a new documentary entitled A Bridge to Justice, narrated by Emmy and Golden Globe winning actor Sterling K. Brown and premiering on PBS in the coming months. Let's take a peek.
In 1949, Thurgood Marshall, the director of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, turned to his 31-year-old special counsel, an obscure New York lawyer named Franklin Hall Williams, to assist in a case involving 4 young black men in Groveland, Florida, who were falsely accused of raping a white woman. One of the suspects was hunted down in a swamp and killed by a possum. 2 were taken out on a desolate road and shot by the sheriff, one fatally. The survivors were convicted by an all-white jury on the strength of false confessions that resulted from torture. All were innocent. But their innocence was of no consequence in 1949 in the Deep South. A white jury could simply never credit the word of a black man over that of a white girl. It was socially and politically unthinkable. Franklin Williams quickly found himself thrown into the middle of a cultural and legal minefield.
The Harlem Renaissance was an explosion of creativity with an astonishing array of groundbreaking African-American artists bursting onto the scene with expressions of what it meant to be black in America. Through art and the black experience, stereotypes were challenged, defining a new cultural identity and ushering in a new era of political activism meant to advance the lives of African Americans. The legacy of Harlem Renaissance continues to influence and inspire our culture today. Performing in the New York State Museum and paying tribute to these artists is University of Albany student Maxim Killiard. Dr. King said, intelligence plus character That is the goal of true education. For over 20 years, a figure skating program in Harlem has been embodying these principles every day by the building of confidence and promoting teamwork and empowerments for young women. Figure skating Harlem has been changing the lives of Black and Latina young women, both on and off the ice.
Can you remember when you felt most alive in the world? Think about it. Try to see it. Feel it. Hundreds of girls from Harlem and Lower Bronx, well, they came to feel the joy of skating, but more important, they cultivated the skills and inner self-worth that would last a lifetime. And figure skating in Harlem was born. For 20 years, more than 1,000 girls of color have come through our program and been guided by hundreds of talented and dedicated staff. And together they form bonds around education and skating.
The great thing about this program is not just figure skating, they do have that academic part too. We have the tutoring and also the college prep for our seniors. Academics and athleticism, they both work hand in hand.
The program is really good with enrichment classes. Not only would it help me do something that I love, but also help me in school too.
It made me more aware of my education, and it made me more aware of how I should look into better schools.
Today, a powerful sisterhood exists at figure skating in Harlem. Beautiful girls who become empowered, accomplished young women who are thriving and changing other people's lives.
You don't know where they might be coming from, what their background is, it doesn't matter. I want to make the path a little easier for someone else, and especially for girls of color. I also think representation matters.
And the lessons I will take with me everywhere I go that I learned from ice is when you fall on ice, to get back up. I switch it back to life, whereas if I do fall in life, to keep going, to keep pushing through, to not just give up.
I want the best for myself, and I want to get that dream.
Looking up to Dr. King and his message, it definitely inspires not just the African American community, but also the younger generation.
Martin Luther King Jr. was really like an inspiration to just everyone all around, I feel. Just having a voice, being able to stand up for what you believe in.
He protested for Black lives so they can be treated equally.
It's unfortunate that we're living in a time right now where racism is now being shown more.
We're making a name for ourselves. We're integrating the sport of figure skating. We're trying to change the color, making it a little more diverse. For the community to see that, I think it's a really powerful thing.
We just have to, reiterate every time we're on ice with them, or even if we have side conversations, that is going to be okay. You are making a change, fighting for our equal rights that we have to do in 2020. And I always use the motto, when they go low, we go high, as Michelle Obama said. And we will make a change. I believe their change will come soon.
Just a few blocks away, on 126th Street, the Mama Foundation for the Arts provides training and educational services for youth and adults pursuing career in the performing arts, including Vi Higginson's Gospel for Teens program. Under the direction of Amaya Noel Higginson, the Mama Foundation presents civil rights anthem, A Change Is Gonna Come.
In a little tent, and just like that river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. I go to the movies and I go downtown, and some folk keep telling me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to my brother.
I said, brother.
And I said, brother, help me please. Oh, but that brother of mine ends up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, it's been a long time coming, but I know, yeah. Oh no, I know a change is gonna come.
Access, equity, and inclusion often create an avenue to the middle class. Dr. King believed for his dream of economic justice to be realized, these goals must be achieved by African Americans. For over a decade, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, MTA, has been leading the charge by offering a variety of opportunities through their diversity programs, helping countless certified minority-owned businesses. Michael J. Gardner of the MTA is committed to ensuring diversity and equal access.
Dr. King was focused on social justice and economic opportunities. He was assassinated in April of 1968 because he was marching with the sanitation workers in Memphis, and they were protesting for the achievement of a living wage. And so the principles of Dr. King are extolled here in the state of New York and here at the MTA. We take pride in the contracts that we are awarding, and we are awarding a record number of contracts to New York State certified MWBE firms. Having the ability to take government, take taxpayer-funded projects, and award contracts in an inclusive manner to a pool of businesses who have historically been shut out, that is social justice and economic empowerment.
McKissick & McKissick is the nation's oldest Black-owned design and construction firm. It started with the first ancestor who came to this country as a slave in 1790. And I want to make sure that we continue to deliver on the excellence we have been delivering for over 100 years. Over the last almost 30 years, we have built a business through the MWBE programs. The MTA has been instrumental in our growth. There was a surge and focus on how to get minority and women-owned businesses in prime roles. Opportunity arose to be the independent engineer of the MTA. We put our hat in the ring at an interview. They began to understand that a firm with a leader that looks like me could actually do this work. And they took that chance. Now, we have been the independent engineer for 10 years.
The diversity programs are extremely important because access to government contracts equals home ownership, job creation in those areas that have historically been excluded, better educational opportunities, better healthcare options, and an avenue to the middle class.
It was definitely a game changer. It allows us to control our destiny, to set the cultures of our company, to hire other brown and Black professionals and females. We can now point to the work at the MTA and say, this is our work. We were able to leverage this work to get other prime contracts. Now we have a national transportation group. And this all started with getting a firm foothold in New York that understood the values and the need for diversity with an agency like the MTA. When I think about Dr. King and how that relates to what I'm doing, I feel that I am living my dream.
The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was a change agent. As individuals, we also have the same ability and opportunity to become effective change agents in focusing on fairness and equity and inclusion. And I'm very optimistic as we move forward that this country will become the great nation that Dr. King had in his dream.
Lift Every Voice and Sing holds a special place in the hearts of African Americans. Written as a poem by James Weldon Johnson and set to music by his brother John Rosamond Johnson during the Jim Crow era. In 1905, it became known as the Negro National Anthem and the official song of the NAACP. Performing this piece in the historic New York State Capitol are three talented musicians, Avery Roach, Peyton Roach, and Christiane Richardson. The creative arts often spark thought and reflection of our everyday lives. Street artists bring this concept to a higher level by using the physical world as their canvas. In Buffalo, respected artist, musician, and educator Edres Wajed has been creating murals across the city. Most notable is the Freedom Wall, a commissioned public work located in the city's African-American Heritage Corridor. Claudine Ewing from WGRZ TV introduces us to this inspiring artist.
Did you ever think as a kid growing up in Buffalo that public art, you know, this used to be called graffiti, get it off my wall, don't put that on my building. But now you have public art, these murals, they tell a story, they're lasting. Did you ever think that you would have a hand in something that would be lasting in the city of Buffalo?
Never, I did not. And so now, given that we have permission as artists, like we have permission and we have platform and we have support.
The Freedom Wall, there are several artists who participated. How many did you paint on that wall?
So there are 4 artists altogether, and there are 28 portraits, so each of us were responsible for 7.
Which one was your favorite?
Oh, Well, I'll tell you the one that I cried in front of. I cried in front of Malcolm X. And I was very nervous about doing it, and I was, always questioning, am I really capable? Did they make the right selection? Did I make the right choice of saying yes? And then right when I got to Malcolm X, it just put everything into perspective for me about somebody who actually had real fears that came to fruition. Like, he put his life on the line for something. And me creating that artwork wasn't me putting my life on the line. So in comparison to, it's like, you can do this, you got this, And so that's when I had a breakdown there and just was crying, like, in gratitude though. Like, it's just in gratitude for the opportunity, gratitude for saying yes, and gratitude for being courageous enough to just, let go of my worries and my self-critique of, whether I'm good enough. And Harriet Tubman was another one of my favorite too. She was the seventh of the seven.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Especially at that time, the movie was getting ready to happen, and so people who hadn't known came to know who's Harriet Tubman, and here you are painting about the Black Moses.
Yeah, Black Moses. Yeah. That was a rich piece for me, for her to close it out. And in the middle of painting that, we had a solar eclipse that day. During that week that I was working on her, we had a solar eclipse, which made it even more special to me because she navigated by the stars, So it just was like, I sat down during that time and just reflected and, like, again, just reminded, like, I'm supposed to be here.
Isn't that what civil rights, though, is all about? It's about opportunity, it's about courage, it's about all of this.
Yes, and awareness. It's about awareness. It's about creating awareness. And so messages, particularly like this one, is just a deeper read into making people thoughtful, going beyond and looking further down the line. Like, love Black girls is a statement in itself. Even when they become women is a longer conversation, because now we're talking about the lifespan, of a child, because we're going to grow. Children will grow. That's what we do. We have to evolve.
Do you think Martin Luther King would like that? Because he always talked about his 4 little children, Black boys, Black girls, and look at what we have.
Oh my goodness, I would really like to think this is in line with the work and his walk, and what he spoke about, for sure. Because in one of his most famous speeches, he talks about little boys and girls playing together, little boys and white girls, little Black boys and like playing together. This is a part of it. This is a part of it, and acknowledging them and seeing them,
Spoken word has its roots embedded in our cultural history as one of the earliest forms of communicating messages of identity, empowerment, and change. Performing Smudges, a multimedia spoken word, is Yonkers poet Marcus C. John and Soulbox Entertainment, with images provided by Yonkers Art, illustrating the power of stories to bring about change.
There was a time when reading and writing were forbidden. For us, education was a luxury, a privilege not afforded to the ink. White paper for white people with Black lettering to remind us we were stains. Eventually, wet scribble begins to run, but the effects remain. We, like pages, turn to each other for information and insight. Painting pictures in the shape of freedom, we made use of tablets long before technology. Entire tables of content scribed in hieroglyphics, those heroes were never honored. Laying down the foundations for future conversation, these poems are the excavation of our bones. Ancestral knowledge stitched within our DNA, lined with spines sturdy and bendable like notepads, we are the story. Muzzled and chained from early ages, these cages were made to be conjugated, broken down from full sentences to notes on scrap paper left in the trash. My legacy will read more like an anthology than a tragedy. We scrimmage and scrum to find the words that define our story and live to write another day.
Over the years, the State University of New York has played a vital role in the annual celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. SUNY's long-standing dedication to the program and its principles is based on their belief in SUNY for all. Here's Chancellor Jim Malatras.
Unrest and collective action have rippled across America, forming a powerful wave of justice. What we see today is an emphatic call to action, a call to do better. As the nation's largest university system, SUNY is poised to not only answer that call, but to lead the charge on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We will ensure that students from all walks of life are heard and feel represented. A partnership with the new SUNY Shirley Chisholm Center will identify concrete steps we can take immediately, working proactively and strategically to close racial equity gaps and diversity of faculty and staff, and build a more inclusive university system. Students are pivotal in helping us get there. They inspire us and demand that we do better. SUNY was founded to be a great equalizer. It's in our DNA. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Once again, here is the 2021 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Ensemble under the direction of Pastor Eldon Joseph Taylor.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When my way grows dim, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hold my hand, lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home. Sometimes my mind gets so crazy, yeah. Lead me home. But I know you're the lifter of my head. Lead me home. Lead me home, yeah. Lead me
A prominent abolitionist of the 19th century, John Brown and his family lived in a settled black community in upstate New York. Frustrated by the country's lack of support for anti-slavery, Brown hoped to ignite a movement to end slavery once and for all, but it was not to be in his lifetime, as Brown was captured and hanged. His body was returned to his home, which is now New York State Park, known as John Brown Lives, a freedom, education, and human rights project.
Basically, the reason we have not been taught about John Brown in his complexity, in the enormity of his contribution to ending slavery in this country is because, quite simply, he was a white man who dedicated his life and gave up his life for Black people. And that's a story that we as a country, I think we have a hard time fathoming. A white man giving up his life for Black people? It doesn't fit the narrative. Also, because John Brown was a white man, he understood in his time that the problem, so to speak, of slavery, the peculiar institution of slavery, was a problem for white America. It was born on the backs and on the lives of Black people, but it was fundamentally a problem resulting from white supremacy and racism. We like to think of the South, I think those of us in the North, slavery as a Southern institution, and it was taught that way for years and years and years. And I think it's just been scholarship in the last few decades that's really pulled back the veil, not only on the fact of slavery in New York, but also on the economic underpinnings of slavery in New York and Northern merchants and financiers and bankers and so forth. So in 2021, that's the 125th anniversary that this most important state, national, and even international site of conscience, that this place has been in the care of New York State. It exists much as it did back then when the Browns lived here, when the Black settlers lived in the region. I think we'll see much more scholarship, much more cultural activity, much more conversation. And if we can be honest about our own involvement and the sins of slavery on our soil and in our history, then maybe we can find some opportunities for the kind of deep reckoning with this part of our history and within this very divided and polarized country in which we live right now.
We return now to the New York State Museum and join the University of Albany's River Johnson performing Stand Up.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the sky, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to rise, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm treading through muddy waters. You know I got a made up mind. right to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. That's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's across the bench might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone, and I just might fail, but Lord knows I tried. Sure as stars fill up the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Please welcome back the Mama Foundation singing Down by the Riverside.
I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside, down by
This past year, we lost one of America's most iconic civil rights leaders and politicians. Mr. John Lewis had been described by many as one of the most courageous people the civil rights movement ever produced. Lewis dedicated his life to the sanctity of human rights in hopes of building what he called the beloved community. Amia Ainsworth, University of Albany student, sings Deep River as we take a moment to remember the courageous life of Mr. John Lewis.
Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. Oh, don't you want to go to that gospel feast, that promised land where all is peace? Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground.
We hope you have enjoyed today's program and perhaps found inspiration in the stories and performances shared by these fellow New Yorkers. Let us together continue to keep Dr. King's dream alive today and every day.